Good evening and welcome to the 7 o'clock news here on CNC3. I'm Charlene Ramdani.
Good evening. Glad you can join us. I'm Samson Anton.
In the headlines tonight, PSA President gives his account of the meeting with National Security Minister Jack Warner. He says he didn't know those at the meeting were gang leaders. The Port of Spain mayor says he's unafraid of the backlash following his fallout with Minister Warner.
Former Prime Minister Patrick Manning still resting in hospital on doctor's requests following a seizure. He says he's fine. Diego Martin flood victims get keys to homes in Urupun Gardens.
And in sports tonight, Jamaica have defeated Ganga's 11 in opening game of 2020 for 50 Cricket Festival at the Queen's Park Oval. Top of our news tonight. One day after National Security Minister Jack Warner made startling revelations about an alleged plot to trap him involving the Port of Spain mayor and the PSA president, PSA boss Watson Duke is tonight responding. At a bizarre news conference today, Duke left many questions unanswered and, in fact, created some new questions about the alleged plot and his exact involvement. Kamal Georges explains. Have that story a little later on in our newscast tonight. Well, Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing says he's not fearful of any backlash that may occur because of his now public feud with National Security Minister Jack Warner over an alleged meeting with gang leaders. Yesterday, Minister Warner accused the Port of Spain mayor of trying to set him up by arranging a meeting with gang leaders. However, in response, Mayor Leasing said Minister Warner's claims are untrue and he is considering his legal options. Speaking with reporters in St. Clair today, Mr. Leasing says he expects victimization and he is prepared for it and whatever else may come his way.
To fight battles. I've had to fight battles not only with the opposition but with my own party. In 1970 or thereabout, I was suspended from the PNM, but I eventually prevailed. And so I am not remotely concerned about whether this government would seek to withhold funds from me. If the government seeks to withhold funds from me, I would let the people know. And the people will decide how it treats with the government.
Well, let's return to Watson Duke's press conference today where he gave an explanation for his involvement in this whole saga.
I am not sure whether I had a meeting with the mayor or with the man. You see, we need to have a separation between the mayor and the man, the politician and the man.
And so began the challenge of trying to understand PSA President Watson Duke's version of the events involving an alleged meeting of gang leaders and National Security Minister Jack Warner. Both Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing and the National Security Minister Jack Warner expressed their astonishment over Mr. Duke's presence. So reporters asked him on Friday just how did he end up at the mayor's office for the meeting.
That's a very good question you have asked. Of course, when I get the answer, I'll tell you.
But both the National Security Minister and the Port of Spain Mayor insist that Mr. Duke showed up with the men to the meeting.
I don't know if I turn up with individuals. I'm not sure. You see how he puts it over? As if I turn up with the individuals. I'm not certain
at the same time?
if that is the way.
So is it that you heard that they
He
were going
saw
to
us together.
Right.
He
So
saw
what's
us together.
coincidence?
But I don't know if I turn up with them. He saw us together.
You don't know, or they just happened to arrive at the same time? Or you'd rather not say?
No, he saw me with some members of society.
Earlier, Mr. Duke had explained that he knew these men. He said as part of the PSA's social outreach program, he met with members of depressed communities in Morva and Laventille to discuss issues affecting them, including employment and crime. But he refused to call them gang leaders, saying that's a matter of perception. The PSA president could not explain how his meeting with these men evolved into a more formal meeting with officials. But there were many other questions he did not or could not answer. He could not recall if they agreed to meet for a second time,
With the members of the depressed community?
or if there was a decision to invite Minister Warner,
To be at
I
St.
can't
Paul's.
say. I can say what I said and what I understand.
or who called the meeting at St. Paul Street.
I can't say either.
For CNC3, I'm Kamal Georges.
And that's the story which takes us to your vote tonight. The question we're asking you to vote on is, Are you any clearer on what transpired at the meeting with National Security Minister Jack Warner following Watson Duke's explanation today? Text your response to the number 2623. If your response is yes, you're texting the letter Y, and if it's no, the letter N. We'll give you an update on the voting as we go along in tonight's newscast and the very final vote at the end tonight. Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing says in the 50 years of this country's independence, the People's National Movement has never discriminated against any citizen. The mayor says he's tired of accusations against the PNM from those in government, and he believes the truth must be told. Chester Sambrano reports.
We've got to get real in this country.
Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing is coming out in firm defense of his political party. Speaking at a luncheon on Friday to honor senior citizens who were around when this country became an independent nation, Mayor Leasing says far too often government officials accuse the PNM of discrimination while it was in power. Mayor Leasing says such statements leave him upset since they are not true.
How could you be discriminated against and every doctor in the hospital is of the other side? How could you be discriminated against when the courts, the only people you see in the courts these days are people from the other side? How could you have been discriminated against when there are so many prosperous businesses throughout Trinidad and Tobago from the other side?
He said the time has come for everyone in this country to pay attention to what is happening in the country and stop focusing on creed and race.
Everybody in this country is everything. There's an Indian, there's an African, there's a Hindu, there's a Muslim, there's a Christian. You never hear them say, I'm a Trinidadian and Tobagonian.
Meantime, Mayor Leasing says the corporation's independence celebrations would go well into the month of November, even though he is not satisfied with the $300,000 given by the central government. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
A miraculous escape for a Tobago woman today after a truck crashed into her home, destroying the entire front room and cutting off all electricity to the house. The woman, Avenel James, was alone at the time and managed to walk out of the house without a single scratch. We have more from Melissa Williams.
A great escape for 3 people on Friday morning in Black Hill, Wim, Tobago. Reports say around 9 Friday morning, a truck carrying solar products slammed into a house along Black Hill. Police say the truck had 2 occupants in it when it slammed into the house of Avenel James, destroying the entire living room to the front of the house. The crashing truck also took with it an electricity pole just outside the house, cutting off all electricity. James, who did not wish to speak on camera, said she was asleep in the bedroom at the time and felt a sudden vibration and heard a loud sound. James says upon checking, she saw the living room destroyed and the truck resting on its side in a house. Both occupants in the truck, the driver and the delivery man, also escaped injury and immediately went to the police to get assistance and file a report. Police officers tell CNC3 News they believe the truck originally came down the steep hill to turn, and while on its way back up the hill, the driver lost control and slid down the hill into the house. A backhoe was later seen in the area attempting to remove the truck. For CNC3, I'm Melissa Williams.
Former Prime Minister Patrick Manning remains in hospital and will be kept there until tomorrow. The former Prime Minister suffered a seizure last evening and was taken to the San Fernando General Hospital. In his latest message via his Facebook and Twitter accounts, the San Fernando East MP posted, quote, "Doctors requested that I stay 24 to 48 hours as a precaution. I did the right thing and complied. I am fine and all continues to be well. Thanks to all for your care, concern and prayers," end quote. The San Fernando East MP reportedly collapsed while exercising at his Sumat Gardens home in San Fernando last evening. CNC3 News has been told that all tests conducted last evening on the former Prime Minister revealed he is not in any serious danger. The San Fernando East MP suffered a stroke back in January and was treated for 6 months at the Walter Reed Hospital in Washington, D.C. Mr. Manning is the country's longest-serving MP. Well, we now move across to Astel Wren. He's here in studio to tell us what we can expect coming up in our sportscast a little later on. Astel.
Well, yes, thank you so much, Charlene. Well, coming up in our sportscast, well, we have the much anticipated 2020 for 50 Cricket Festival, in which Brian Lara is involved. That got started today. We have highlights of Jamaica against Darren Ganga's 11. Plus, we have the 2 Paralympics athletes. Well, they left today for London to start their quest on Wednesday. And we have a female boxer, a 15-year-old female boxer. Well, she has been given a 4-year sponsorship to see her through all her school days. Well, that's and more when I come back. It's back to you, Charlie.
Okay, Asta, well, I know Samson is very eager to go to that tournament this weekend, but before he can venture to the Oval, he's here to bring you some more news. Samson.
Yes, certainly, and we want to ask you a question. That's very kind of complicated issue is going on with this whole Jack Warner meeting. We're not too clear. So you tell us, are you any clearer on what transpired at the meeting with National Security Minister Jack Warner following Watson Duke's explanation today? Text your response to the number 2623. If you want to vote yes, text Y. If you want to vote no, text N. We'll give you an update as we go along, of course. And the final result comes up at the end of tonight's news. We also want you to determine for us, by your vote, who was the most influential person in Trinidad and Tobago over the last 50 years. Every night we unveil one of the 50 most influential personalities from the year of our independence in 1962 right up to present day 2012. You can vote as well using the number 2623. And just ahead on the CNC3 news, Diego Martin residents affected by flooding get keys to Oropoon homes. The National Self-Help Commission assists residents affected by yesterday's heavy floods. And Samakal Limited buries a time capsule to mark the 50th year of our independence. And later, the rate of inflation slows minimally in the month of July. These stories and more when we come back.
Celebrate independence with 50% off at Courts for 3 days only. This Thursday 23rd to Saturday 25th August. Buy any item $9.99 and over and get 50% off a second item of equal or lesser value. But hurry, this offer is valid for 3 days only. Thursday 23rd to Saturday 25th August. The Independence Buy One Get One 50% off. Offer valid on 36-month credit purchases only at Courts. Courts, bringing value home.
Welcome back. Reports of a murder around 3 o'clock yesterday. 54-year-old bailiff Kumar Suknanan was parked in his car along Eastern Main Road at Paul Village in Aruka. Speaking to a police officer, he was just levying on a businessman in Arima and returning to a warehouse in Tunapuna, where on reaching the traffic light in Paul Village, 2 gunmen who were involved in a robbery ran out of the building shooting. One of the gunmen fired indiscriminately and stray bullets penetrated the back of the SUV, hitting Suknanan to the back of his head. He was rushed to the Medical Sciences Complex in Mount Hope, where he later succumbed to his injury. Police are currently investigating the circumstances around the death and the robbery. Relief and assistance came today for dozens of affected residents whose homes were damaged by yesterday's heavy rains and floods across the country, in particular the northern part of the country. The weather battered homes in Port of Spain, Movar, Laventille and Beetham. But today the National Commission for Self-Help, they were out on the field and they visited residents whose homes were blown off, roofs were blown off their homes, and whose homes were also very badly damaged. The Chief Executive Officer, Reynald Baldio Singh, said that the Commission visited 2nd Caledonia in Movar, Belmont and Beetham and other areas. He says residents' homes in those areas appeared to be the most affected. He also noted that the Commission was only made aware of those in need after they were contacted directly and those who appeared in the media. He says this is why the Commission decided to hit the field today and tour communities to meet the residents. He also said that the assessments were done and immediate relief given to some residents. The National Commission for Self-Help says it will be distributing grants to residents whose homes are in need of repair. The Ansar Makal Group of Companies has buried a time capsule to be opened in the year 2062 to commemorate the 50th anniversary of this country's independence. Ansar Makal Chairman Norman Sabga says that this country has a lot to be proud of. Not for 50 years will the contents of this time capsule buried at the base of the Tatil building be opened. Inside it, containing contributions from the President, the Prime Minister, the Port of Spain Mayor, the Chairman Emeritus of Answer Macal Limited, Dr. Anthony Sabga, and the current Chairman Norman Sabga. It's part of the group's activities to commemorate the 50th anniversary of independence, the Chairman telling the gathering this country has a lot to be proud of.
We have excelled in so many endeavors, gaining the admiration of the world in many areas. Of course, there is still much that we should ponder on. There's much work still to be done to fulfill the many needs that are still to be addressed.
But at the same time, he says that there is a long way to go. The group, he says, is part of this journey. Its brand's already symbolic of the patriotic spirit.
We consider it a privilege that we guard that thousands of people have a sense of patriotism when they simply have a carrot beer in their hand, be it here in Trinidad and Tobago or in England. It identifies them as being a true Trinbagonian.
The group will give 5,000 flags to all its employees, Mr. Sabga explaining why the time capsule is being buried as well.
We felt that this was one of the best ways to communicate from the present to the future and preserve the past.
The contents also include a copy of the Trinidad Guardian newspaper, placed there by former Prime Minister Basio Pandey. It's going to be open in 2062, another 50 years. Well, it's time now for What You Saw, where we highlight the photos and the video you send us. The address news@cmc3.co.tt.
Our first picture comes from Lorraine, telling us that these photos were taken heading into Diego Martin yesterday morning at around 7:30 a.m. A lot of cars paused for some time before taking the big dive. Lorraine telling us she had to eventually go since it was one way and it was too late for one to turn back. Then from Vinesh, who says he got caught driving behind this truck transporting sand and gravel with no tailgate. He had to follow behind for almost 1 mile and gravel and sand kept falling off. And then from Rhonda telling us that this van was driving along the Palo Seco main road on Monday. She asks, is it okay to be driving around with an overloaded van and to top it off, the number plate was hidden? Rhonda says, come on people, let's do the right thing.
And I absolutely agree with Rhonda there, but based on the number of pictures we've seen like that, clearly the message isn't really getting home. But thank you very much for sending us your video, your photos. You can also send us video and photos. The address news@cmc3.co.tt. Well, Charlene, it's back to you.
Well, Samson, I saw you posted an interesting picture, I think earlier this week, of the lightning in... that was on Wednesday night. You should send in your pictures as well.
Yeah, I should. It was actually some clouds coming over the Arangua Savannah. Just snapped it before rushing home to try and get away from the oncoming rain.
So we welcome pictures from everyone. Thank you very much, Samson. Let me remind you of tonight's Your Vote question. The question we're asking you to vote on tonight is, as Samson said earlier, a bit complicated, but are you any clearer on what transpired at the meeting with National Security Minister Jack Warner following Watson Duke's explanation that you heard earlier in the newscast? So remember, you're texting your response to the number 2623. If your response is yes, you're texting the letter Y, and if it's no, the letter N. We'll give you an update on the voting after the sportscast with Astle and the final vote at the very end tonight. We move right across now to Astle Wren. He has your sportscast. Astle.
Thank you so much, Charlene. Well, coming up in this evening's sports coverage, Ganga's 11 beaten in open fixture of the 2020 for 50 Cricket Festival at the Queen's Park Oval. Paralympic athletes off to London Games. And defending champion of the great race is set to defend his title. The 7-time Tour de France champion is stripped of all titles. All next on Sport.
Goddard is a self-taught pianist who eventually learned to read music and became one of the country's most renowned and successful musicians, composing, arranging and producing Caribbean masterpieces. Pelham was born in 1946 into a musical family with the music in him. He began his professional career with combos, playing the piano, organ and keyboards. he first arranged music for Esquieres band in 1967. Pelham writes and arranges calypso and soca music. In 1976, he formed the band Charlie's Roots that backed some of the most famous names in Kaiso. He contributed to 13 road march titles, an unparalleled feat among musicians. He started his steel band music career as a Starlift panman in 1968. In 1972, he became arranger for Third World Steel Orchestra and went on to win 4 Panorama titles and 2 music festivals with Exodus Steel Orchestra. Pelham received the Hummingbird Medal Silver in 1994 for his contribution to culture. He currently operates his own recording studio, Agra 9 Production Studio.
The 50 most influential personalities since independence. We want your view via text on Facebook and online at 50tt.guardian.co.tt.
Stream, share faster than ever before on Digicel's super-fast 4G network. It's summer in 4G. Get your smartphone with a smart plan on the smartest network in TNT. Sign up for our newest postpaid smart plans now. Plus, for a limited time, get 1 month subscription free and 4G smartphones for $199. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
Born in Barrettport, Trinidad, Darren Ganga is a right-handed top-order batsman and part-time right-arm off-break bowler. At 19 years of age, Ganga became the youngest player to make a West Indian Test squad. Like many in the sport, his career was dotted with successes and trials. After Ramnaresh Sawan sustained injury in their 2007 tour of England, Ganga was made captain of the side. This truly cemented his spot on the team. He has captained the Trinidad and Tobago cricket team to a number of wins in regional and international titles over his 9-season tenure. His resignation from captaincy in 2011 came on the heels of a number of achievements in his personal life, achieving a law degree, getting married, and the DGF, the Darren Ganga Foundation, established to give support to less fortunate children keen on a sporting future. Darren Ganga, Trinidad and Tobago cricketer, legacy in sport.
Shaving can irritate skin, causing dark marks to become visible. Dove has the effective solution. New Dove Clear Tone Antiperspirant. The result? Underarms with visibly reduced dark marks and an even tone. New Dove Clear Tone.
With all the reasons you already have to celebrate this independence, Richmond Motors has just added one more. Bring out the champagne, because now you can drive home with your very own BMW X1 or BMW 5 Series with no down payment and a whopping 6 years to repay. Plus, your BMW purchase comes with 2 years free full comprehensive insurance and 2 years warranty or unlimited mileage, whichever comes first. Now that's a real cause to celebrate. Offer valid while stocks last. Special conditions apply.
The 2012 edition of the Carib Great Race will be run tomorrow from the Trinidad Gulf of Paria to Scarborough, Tobago. Defending champion of this iconic race, Fire One, will be going after a double, having taken the field by surprise in 2011. Jassy Marie today visited the boatyard and has this report.
Its fierce roar was like music to the ears of its handlers today. Fire One primed and ready to go. But still not totally satisfied, the Guy Costa-led team were busy tinkering with a thing or two hours ahead of race day.
There's always little last-minute things that surprise you, and just had to deal with it, you know. I think we have one more little detail to deal with there, and then we go in any water, and that should be more or less it.
When the engines fire up tomorrow morning and they get the starter's orders from the Gulf of Paria, this boat, Fire 1, will be the one to beat. The 2011 champions have faced some hiccups in getting ready for this year's race, but they believe all boats will be following them to the sister isle of Tobago.
They have a couple boats that are bigger than me. They're going to start off in front of me, but they're going to end up behind me too. That's about it.
The much-anticipated debut run of Munster last year did not go as planned, as that boat and the legendary Mr. Solo both broke down in the Bocas, leaving Fire 1 unchallenged more than half of the way to Tobago. But Costa, of course, plans to really prove his worth this time around.
When I got this boat, the intention down the road was I was going to go and come and try and win Great Race with it. We didn't do too well with it in 2009, and we came back in 2011 and we won. So the boat's capable of winning now. I think I have reliability and preparation and durability and a lot of luck. And that's what you're going to need, and that's what's going to take us to the win.
Costa is backed by his newly recruited driver, James Hadid, who is not at all worried about the big fish, so to speak.
If you really follow the history of Great Race, I mean, new boats, when they come, they take them some time before they get rid of all the problems and able to get there. So we good to go.
Reporting for CNC3 Sports, I am Jassi Merik.
Well, to the sport of boxing now, one talented female boxer, Kimberly Jackson, has landed a sponsorship deal which will see the teenager through secondary school and at the same time develop her skills. The 4-year sponsorship comes from Caribbean Recreational Initiative Limited. Special advisor to the Trinidad and Tobago Boxing Board of Control, Box Support, says it's an initiative by both the Amateur Boxing Association and the Boxing Board of Control, in which the 15-year-old female boxer from Siparia will receive $3,000 per month for the next 4 years.
Some gears will come into that, wearing apparel will come into that, nutritional package come into that, passage to go to school, and food.
Potts added, Jackson's mother recently passed away and her father is a pensioner, and he would like other sponsors to come aboard to support other young, talented female fighters with an eye on the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio, Brazil.
We also want to commend and congratulate Petrotrin for assisting our 4 of our young boxers by giving them $2,000 a month to assist them with the growth and the development. So all of that is part of the, and there are other sponsors that has indicated an interest to come on board.
And Potts also sent a strong warning to Jackson concerning the sponsorship.
And let me say this to the athletes. The sponsorship is not about money to bling. It's about sustenance. It's not about the bling. No, it's not a bling thing.
Well, Jamaica defeated the Darangangas 11 in the opening fixture of the 2020 for 50 Cricket Festival at the Queen's Park Oval just a short while ago. Jamaica batted first and made a competitive total, with skipper Tamar Lambert leading the charge. Gangas 11 showed great promise from the start, but faded badly in the end of the 20 overs. After winning the toss and electing to bat, Mervyn Dillon gave the home team the perfect start in the first over, removing opener Xavier Marshall caught behind. However, in the second over, Tamar Lambert struck 2 boundaries on either side of the wicket, the first 2 short and the second short and wide. Just as the visitors were making progress, though, Suleiman Ben struck, removing Nkrumah Bona, and Jamaica were reeling at 25 for 2. However, Lambert and Andrew McCarthy combined to rescue the innings. Both batted past the halfway stage of the innings, but more importantly added 45 for the 4th wicket. The partnership might have continued as well had Daranganga's 11 luck not struck. Lambert was unfortunately run out backing up. At the non-striker's end was Ryan Hines. The Jamaican innings took a dip from then on, with McCarthy following soon after for a well-played 26, trying to hoist Darenganga over mid-wicket. He failed to connect. It was a battle for both teams as the innings came to an end, with Darren Ganga's 11 turning on the screws and Jamaica scrambling for runs. David Bernard Jr. played well and muscled 3 sixes over the ropes to keep his team on course for a competitive total. However, Bernard was quickly losing partners as Darren Ganga returned to strike again, bowling Horace Miller to get his second wicket. David Bernard Jr. eventually went for 18, trying to clear long off as Jamaica battled to 135 for 8 of their 20 overs. Openers Devon Smith and Luke Bosman gave the host team a perfect start, putting on 63 for the opening stand. Both batsmen took the attack to the bowlers and were assisted by some bad bowling as well. The first wicket fell in the 8th over when the South African unsuccessfully tried to clear long on. He gave Darren Ganga's men the perfect start they were looking for with a well-played 24. 10 runs later, fellow opener Devon Smith got his stump uprooted. He also played well in his knock of 32 as the Darren Ganga 11 reached 74 for 2. Things got worse for the home team as Darren Ganga tried to clear long on and was caught. It brought South African batsman Andrew Putic to the crease, but he too failed to put on any resistance. Justin Kemp came in, a man well known for turning a game on his head. Still with Darren Ganga, 11 needing 57 to win. Kemp and Lincoln Roberts had their work cut out and they needed to do it fast. Both batsmen played an array of shots in a desperate bid to get closer to the target, but the local team were always chasing the game. Jamaica easily solved the game, limiting the home team to 123 for 7 in 20 overs and winning the first game by 12 runs. Well, the second game of that encounter between Lara's 11 and the Red Force, that is in progress at this time. And India have seized the initiative on the first test match against New Zealand at the end of the second day's play in Hyderabad. The Indians resumed their innings on 307 for 5. They carried on to be dismissed for 438. Puhara unbeaten on 119 overnight. He was finally dismissed for 159. New Zealand, in reply, they were quickly reduced to 55 for 4. They were eventually closed the deal on 106 for 5. Wicketkeeper Van Wyk was not out on 31, while Franklin was unbeaten on 16. The spinners, Ravi Ashwin, he had 3 for 30, and Ohaya, he had 2 for 35. And 7-time Tour de France champion Lance Armstrong has waived his right to fight the charges of doping and conspiracy brought against him by the U.S. anti-doping agency. Armstrong's career had been bogged by allegations of doping, and despite there was never been any real proof of his guilt, those allegations never disappeared. The World Cycling Body, well, they have challenged the anti-doping body, and they have asked them why they have chosen Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong's life story is one of the most dramatic sport has ever known. He won the Tour de France 7 times in a row, elevating cycling to new levels and his own profile to the American A-list. And it was all the more extraordinary because he did it after overcoming life-threatening cancer.
Feels good. It looks good.
But his career and reputation have been dogged by persistent allegations that his achievements were fueled by banned performance-enhancing drugs, claims he has always denied.
I try not to let it bother me and just keep rolling right along. I know that I know what I know, and I know what I do, and I know what I did, and that's not going to change.
Today, it did change. Faced with a raft of charges from the US anti-doping agency, backed up by as many as 10 former teammates, Armstrong uncharacteristically threw in the towel. In a statement, he said, "There comes a point in every man's life when he has to say enough is enough. For me, that time is now." Armstrong says this is not an admission of guilt. Despite that, the US anti-doping agency has banned him for life and stripped him of his titles. Those sanctions can be appealed, but for the man leading the fight against doping, the implications for Armstrong are clear.
His failure to rebut the charges, those very serious charges, mean that he's effectively acknowledging that they had substance, and that allows USADA, under the rules that he always subjected himself to impose sanctions.
Well, first it was the London Olympic Games in July-August. Now it's on to the Para-Olympic Games, which will be held in London. And this country's 2 representatives, Chantal Ince in swimming and Carlos Green in athletics, they were sent off in an official function at the VIP launch of the Piarco International Airport today.
After this Paralympic, the world is going to be looking at us because we are coming fast and furious. We are going to be there, and in 2016, we're going to rumble and grumble and shake the whole of South America. So as I close, I will say thank you all very much for the love and support. And when you all go back, make sure everyone knows Trinidad and Tobago is coming back with a big celebration from the para athletes.
Well, 2 officials have already been, they arrived in London awaiting the arrival of the 2 local representatives. It was the first time in 24 years this country will be represented at the Games.
We're sharing yet another with 2 athletes going off after 24 years. And to add to that, one of our young leaders, one of 600 young leaders that we've trained on this program locally, carry the Olympic torch.
And to our sports high now, and on this Friday evening, we look back at some of the top sporting moments of the week, and also some very dangerous ones. We kickstart our highs of the week with some Major League Baseball. And this Detroit Tigers ball boy enjoyed some luck after a foul ball knocked his cap off his head. It could have been worse. Then to the not-so-friendly game between Phoenix and Newcastle Jets in a preseason affair. 3 Knicks players were suspended, but I'm sure we cannot wait to see when the A-League season starts to see a rematch. To some rugby action now, and Sean Johnson enjoyed a right elbow from teammate Russell Parker. Talk about lending a hand. Traveling to Michigan for some NASCAR racing, and Mark Martin had the scariest ride of the week when his car ballooned out of control, almost taking out a cameraman. Despite the fire, everyone, including Martin, was okay. Across to Lords, where England surrendered their #1 world ranking to South Africa, but Mark Pryor did have a good series. Here he cheekily waits for Moni Mokel to raise his feet before clipping the bails. And finally, in the Red Bull Joyride in Canada, this guy had a painful fall. But it was a different affair for Belgium, Thomas Chinu, who completed his insane ride. All in all, capping off a great week for sport around the world. Well, Charlene, despite the danger, it was a great week indeed, and it brought some joy to us, that guy, that BMX guy. It's over to you, Charlene.
Some joy indeed with the danger. Thank you very much, Astil. Let me remind you of tonight's Your Vote question and give you an update on how the voting is going so far tonight. The question, are you any clearer on what transpired at the meeting with National Security Minister Jack Warner following Watson Duke's explanation today? Well, from your responses so far, 6% of yours voting in yes. You are in a bit of better position understanding what is taking place, while 94% of you have been left scratching your heads over the entire affair so far. Well, remember, you still have a chance to get your vote in. Are you scratching your head or are you satisfied? So be sure to do so before the end of tonight's newscast. Well, coming up just ahead on the CNC3 News tonight, the country's inflation makes another move, and it may not be great news for the economy. Find out all the details on the CNC3 News as we continue.
There's really one bank you can depend on. Friendly service every day. There's really one standard of treating you like you deserve to be. Yeah. Republic gives only the best to you. We get personal attention, so explain for your inspection.
You're talking to your best friend when
you're going to clean their family.
You get cash back.
Yeah, darling.
You're talking to your best friend when you realize you're always a winner. You're talking to your best friend when you get a makeover. You suddenly feel like dancing. Every dog gets its day. You have your cake and eat it too. Night falls. You're talking to your best friend. Whatever else happens, always get extraordinary value with Digicel. Get $1 cash back for every paid minute on local Digi-to-Digi calls made during the day, so you can talk more at night. Be extraordinary. Digicel.
It's gonna be a great day. Got my ginseng up, hey. Let's focus, people. Come on and get it sorted. Get more out of your day. Get things done efficiently. Let's go with it. Come on and just drink it, people. Drink it up now. Drink it up now. Ginseng up now. Ginseng up now. Oh.
Enjoy the new look and same great taste today. Ginseng up, the root of all power.
It's now time to take a look at tonight's weather forecast. Trinidad and Tobago and the remainder of the Lesser Antilles will experience light to moderate showers in confined areas. And if you're going to the 2020 for 50 cricket tournament tomorrow, the Met Office has some good news. There will be long sunny intervals interrupted by light to moderate daytime showers in a few confined areas. Afternoon thunder showers are, however, likely near hilly areas and along the western coast, so maybe it wouldn't be such good news for the people in the Oval. Well, gusty winds, street and flash flooding may occur in heavy showers, and thunder showers are also forecasted. The forecast maximum temperature at both Piarco and Crown Point tonight is 31 degrees. Seas are normal, waves up to 2.0 meters in open waters and 1 meter in sheltered areas. Sunrise tomorrow is at 5:56 in the morning and sunset at 6:19 in the evening, in case you needed that cleared up.
Responsible and don't drink and drive. Designate a friend and lime again. Be the one. A message from Trinidad and Tobago Beverage Alcohol Alliance.
I think as an artist, it's important to know who you are and what you're for. So it's good to come back home, come back to base, to my roots. If we are a dot, let's be the most creative, passionate, energetic dot they've ever seen. I for that. It's just that amazing simplicity that I love about Trinidad that continues to inspire me. What are you proud about? Tell us on Twitter by tweeting I4TANDT.
Where there's love for country, there's energy. Where there's energy, there's BPTT.
If your upset stomach doesn't let you go on with your day, try Andrew's Sauce. Rapid heartburn and upset stomach relief that starts working in just 6 seconds. Also, try Andrew's Sauce. Relief with a refreshing lemon flavor.
With all the reasons you already have to celebrate this independence, Richmond Motors has just added one more. Bring out the champagne, because now you can drive home with your very own BMW X1 or BMW 5 Series with no down payment and a whopping 6 years to repay. Plus, your BMW purchase comes with 2 years free full comprehensive insurance and 2 years warranty or unlimited mileage, whichever comes first. Now that's a real cause to celebrate. Offer valid while stocks last. Special conditions apply.
Welcome back. The Central Statistical Office is tonight indicating that inflation has decelerated for the second consecutive month in July. According to a statement from the CSO, headline inflation slowed to 10.8% year-on-year in July 2012 from 11% in June. However, on a monthly basis, headline inflation rose by 0.8% in July after having declined by a similar rate in the previous month. The CSO says that food inflation, the main driver of the headline inflation rate, measured 22.6% year-on-year in July 2012, compared with 24.1% in June 2012. It says the slower rate of increase in food prices came mainly from the prices of vegetables, fish, bread and cereals, milk, cheese and eggs, and sugar, as well as confectionery products. By contrast, the CSO says slightly faster year-on-year price increases were recorded for meat and oil and fats, respectively. The Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Caravan was well received yesterday by residents of Princestown, Mayara and communities in between. Hundreds lined the streets in anticipation of seeing Olympic gold medalist Kishon Walcott, and they were not disappointed. Chester Sembrano reports.
Making waves across the country, the Olympic Caravan rolled into Princestown shortly after 11 a.m. on Thursday, much to the delight of residents. It started with a function in front of a large crowd hosted by the Princestown Regional Corporation. And when Olympic gold medalist Kishon Walcott was introduced to the crowd, the screams were deafening. He tried to speak, but the chanting from his new fans were overwhelming. Eventually, Kishon was able to thank the crowd for their support.
For the guys coming out here, first of all, in the rain this morning, leaving your jobs and whatnot. So we'd just like to say thanks for each and everything.
Several entertainers would take to the stage to perform. Among them, this youngster who remixed the popular David Rudder calypso, Treat It to the Bone, in tribute to Kishon. The motorcade then got on the way, and all along the way, citizens lined the streets to get a look at the Olympic team, which also included Mikel Thomas, Roger Daniel, and Marshall Cedenio. Spectators will be given rags, prompting waves and smiles. Hundreds of pictures were also taken of the athletes. The motorcade ended in Mayaro, where the team met with Member of Parliament for the area, Winston Gypsy Peters. For CNC3, I am Chester Sambrano.
Kishon should get another medal for his poker face. He's quite good at keeping his emotions in check. So we're now going to take a short break and come back. Stay with us.
The stage is in front of us. Time to get advantageous. Stamp on it, stamp on it, stamp on it, stamp.
Machel Montano is one of the best-known soca artists worldwide. He's a writer, performer, and producer. Machel shot to fame when he was just 9 years old, as the youngest ever finalist in the Calypso Monarch competition in 1984. Machel was the youngest Caribbean Song Festival winner in 1987 and appeared on the US program Star Search in the same year. He won the Young Kings competition in 1991 and the Road March title in 1997. In 2011, Machel won the International Power Soca Monarch competition and the Road March title. In 2012, he repeated this feat and also won the Groovy Soca Monarch title. Machel's first band, Panasonic Express, was formed in 1986 and was reincarnated in 1989 as Ecstatic. In 2007, it was renamed Machel Montano HD. The new band has been hailed as the most innovative and successful in soca history. Apart from several albums and international tours, it is the first to play to sell-out concerts in Madison Square Garden.
The 50 most influential personalities since independence. We want your view via text on Facebook and online at 50tt.guardian.co.tt.
When it was announced, the suspense was over. And then when I looked at the contestants behind me and all around me, I realized what it meant for Trinidad and Tobago. What makes me proud about Trinidad and Tobago? It's really the spirit of the people. We are a beautiful people. What are you proud about? Tell us on Twitter by tweeting to hashtag I4TNT.
Where there's love for country, there's energy. Where there's energy, there's BPTT. Heading back out to work after a great vacation? Catwalk got you covered. Take 60% off our entire career department. All jackets, pants, skirts, blouses, and suits are all on sale. Take 60% off accessories too. Sale now on at all Catwalk stores.
Thinking of improving your home? Think TNC Home Improvement Center, your #1 source for quality tiles, doors, whirlpool tubs, faucets, sanitary ware, and paints. Visit our 6 convenient locations or call us at 665-7882. TNC Home Improvement Center, making home improvement easy.
Chic Lucia Limited, leading manufacturers of vermicelli, split peas powder, greaseproof paper, manufacturers of a variety of paper and plastic bags, bags for French fries, sandwiches, popcorn, supermarket stores, and more. Whatever your needs, trust Chic Lucia Limited for quality products.
A fired women's apparel designer shot dead a former colleague outside the Empire State Building in New York City before he was killed by police. 9 others were hit by bullets. Police Commissioner Ray Kelly named the shooter as 58-year-old Jeffrey Johnson, who lived in Manhattan. His victim was Stephen Erosilino, age 41.
What should have been another bustling day in Midtown Manhattan took a frightening turn. A gunman opened fire in the middle of the city's rush hour, near one of the world's best-known landmarks, the Empire State Building. The gunman and 1 other are dead, and 9 others were wounded, some by police gunfire. Jeffrey Johnson was laid off about a year ago from Hazan Imports, and it's believed he went back to his old workplace to confront a former colleague.
A Norwegian court has found that mass killer Anders Behring Breivik is sane and sentenced him to 21 years in jail. Breivik, who admitted killing 77 people when he bombed central Oslo and then opened fire at an island youth camp, told the court he would not appeal. Breivik was convicted of terrorism and premeditated murder and given the maximum sentence of 21 years imprisonment.
Anders Breivik says he killed to destroy a liberal, multicultural Norway. Today, a Norwegian court demonstrated his failure to achieve that goal. Briefly, Breivik attempted a fascist salute before hearing the unanimous verdict of the panel of 5 judges, guilty of mass murder and terrorism, and sane, not insane.
Anders Behring Breivik.
Anders Behring Breivik, born 13th of February 1979, is sentenced to a term of 21 years and a minimum period of 10 years.
There was a smile, possibly a smirk on Breivik's face. For him, being judged sane somehow reinforces his self-image as a political prisoner. But for most of the bereaved and the survivors I spoke to at court, it was also the right judgment. Breivik did not have the excuse of insanity.
The South Korean court has ruled that Apple and Samsung both infringed each other's patents on mobile devices. The court imposed a limited ban on national sales of products by both companies covered by the ruling.
If any court was going to look favourably on Samsung's claims against its main smartphone rival, you'd think it would be here, on the electronics company's home turf. But a court in South Korea has ruled that both the technology giants, Apple and Samsung, breached each other's patents in their mobile devices. Apple, it said, violated 2 of Samsung's telecommunications patents, and Samsung infringed one of Apple's with its use of the so-called bounce-back screen. The court ordered both companies to pay financial penalties and has ordered some versions of the iPhone and iPad and Samsung's Galaxy S to be taken off the shelves, though not the very newest versions of them. The ban only applies here in South Korea, but the ruling comes as a jury in California is deliberating in a similar US-based trial with much higher stakes. The verdict at this courthouse, expected soon, is likely to have a major impact on the lucrative smartphone industry. Apple is seeking $2.5 billion in damages from Samsung, alleging that Samsung copied the design of its iPhone and iPad. Samsung denies it and has counter-sued Apple for allegedly breaching patents on its 3G technology.
We now take a short break. Stay with us.
So
you have thought of it? Look at that. Wow. Beautiful. Is it a finish the shrimp with some nice white wine.
Ah, how delightful.
For a SmackDown? Watch CNC3 this Friday for WWE Friday Night SmackDown. 8 p.m. only on CNC3 television.
40 businessmen and women in Tobago today received money to assist in setting up their business thanks to the Business Development Unit of the Victor E. Bruce Financial Complex. The unit is a small business assistance organization set up under the Division of Finance in Tobago. Manager of the unit, Shelly-Ann Batiste, says the program has been around for over a year and has been able to approve assistance for over 400 business people to the tune of $6.9 million.
Over 400 grant applications to a maximum of $6.9 million.
Secretary of Finance in Tobago, Dr. Anselm London, urged the recipients and all Tobagonians to be committed to the island and work together to build it.
The ethic, just like Ms. Connor pronounced, in terms of humility, balanced with a burning desire. So when I come here this morning, with what support the Assembly has to offer, I with you and I congratulate you. I'm very happy because you didn't sit in your corner and worry about who trying to take over Tobago. What you did or what you are doing is to hold on to what you have and build this island starting small.
Port of Spain Mayor Louis Leasing has jumped to the defense of his councillor for Lovell Trace Laventille, Natasha Young. Yesterday, several residents staged a protest in front of her office, accusing her of neglect and also giving contracts to family members. But speaking with reporters in St. Clair today, Mayor Leasing said the accusations are not credible.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. And I know of the incident, and I would not try to exacerbate that in any way. But that is the furthest of the truth. The councillor is perhaps one of the more committed and hard-working councillors in the Port of Spain Corporation.
He said the issues would be discussed by the Port of Spain Corporation.
The council will treat with its matters.
Okay, we do apologize there for that error. Well, moving on now. Have you ever been wronged and felt like putting the perpetrator to shame? Well, if that perpetrator is a dog, you're in luck, as new website allows dog owners to tell the world of the crimes of their dogs. It's all on a lighter note.
It's the latest craze to hit the internet, dog shaming. It's where dog owners put their doggies on blast and where the dogs are forced to confess their sins and crimes while looking guilty or remorseful. The main component to dog shaming is to post a picture of the dog along with a note about the disgraceful behavior. And the crimes are heinous, like this one, where a dog confesses to chasing cats and leaving the backyard unkempt. Then there is this dog who ate a mirror. And then this pooch who has an unlikely friendship with smelly skunks. And there is this dog who can't seem to keep the contents of his stomach in check. And finally, this dynamic duo whose crime needs no explanation. Now, if only someone could come up with a website to put real-life criminals to shame.
wonder how the dogs feel about that. We'll have to do a follow-up story and find out. Well, 23 families from areas stricken by flood in West Trinidad 2 weekends ago were given keys today to temporary homes at Orapun Village in Aruca, even as work went on in the area to make the apartments comfortable for them. While all families expressed satisfaction with their new shelters, all including Natalie LaRoche, were looking forward to the day when they can return home. Homes will be rented at a cost of $1 for 3 months while cleaning work continues in Diego Martin, after which the situation will be reviewed to determine whether the residents can return or if they should permanently stay at Orapun. However, one resident whose Laventil had to be relocated from Laventil to Orapun 2 years ago expressed concern about security and other matters. On Monday, the government worker was ordered to remove the burglar proofing from her apartment. She says since she and her at Orapun 2.5 months ago, she has already been robbed. In response, Chairman of the Housing Development Corporation, Jolene John, says while advising the new residents on what to do, she also had advice for the affected residents.
You want people to be civil. I know that it's a shared space, and you know we have to all kind of get along. And of course, pay the HDC. We need to be paid so that the others come in on time too. The others come in can also get to feel the joy of receiving the keys.
As we go, let's bring you the final results of tonight's Your Vote. The question you voted on. 8% of you voted in yes. You are in a better position as far as understanding the entire situation with Jack Warner, Louis Leasing and Watson Duke goes. You understand the parameters of what's been going on over the last 24 hours. But 92% of you are in the scratching the heads category. You don't understand what has transpired in the last 24 hours, and perhaps you're looking forward to some clarification on the matter over the weekend. Well, we can only hope that that clarification will come. Well, that's how we end the 7 o'clock news here on CNC3. We thank you so much for your company. I'm Charlene Ramdani, wishing you a good night and a great weekend. And Samson Nanton, look out for him at the Oval. He'll be there this weekend.